manuscripts. Then, oh, by the way, they also compare them with the church fathers.
Right, 1 million quotations.
That's right. And so, if everybody just made one error,
right.
you got 1 million errors.
Right.
Okay, we're only talking 200 to 400,000.
Exactly.
All right.
I mean, this is good news, frankly, that we have so many that we can reconstruct the original.
All right, and then everybody admits that 70 to 80% of the 400,000 are what?
Yeah, just spelling errors. They don't even have an English translation. This is stuff that shouldn't even be dealt with.
Yeah, and I always tell the kids when I'm talking about this, the fact is if you guys write a love letter to your girlfriend, some of you guys aren't the best spellers, but I bet you the fact that she can look at your misspelled words and still get the original message.
Yeah.
Okay? And the fact is that I think that's true. If you look at some of these things, it doesn't make a particle of difference in terms of the meaning.
Yeah, there's a good example that Daniel B. Wallace, I interviewed him for my book, The Case for the Real Jesus, in which he talks about, he's a textual critic too, every bit as prominent as Bart Ehrman. He does a little seminar at various places where he'll get a bunch of people together and he'll give them a 50-word document and they make 6 copies of it, handwritten. And they make some intentional errors and some accidental errors. Then they another group comes in, they end up doing 6 generations of copies and they throw away the originals. Then they bring in average people and say, let's figure out what the original said. It's not that hard, even though these documents that they create have more errors in them than proportionally the New Testament would, far more corrupt. He said we're always able to get back to what the original said. He said only one time were we 3 words off, and never did we miss the essential message. So when you have this proliferation of manuscript, you're going to have a lot of variance. It's not a big deal. The important thing is this. Can we, with confidence, get back to the original and have confidence what that is, especially when we deal with cardinal doctrines and the picture of Jesus? Another example of how they changed it intentionally is they began to produce what are called lectionaries, which are weekly readings or daily readings from the New Testament. Well, if you look in the Gospel of Mark, there's one place where he has 89 verses where it just refers not to Jesus, refers to he as Jesus, uses a pronoun, because it mentioned Jesus, and then 89 times it mentions he did this, he did this, he did this. Well, if you extract that and you're going to put it in a lectionary, you can't start out a daily reading with he said this, because say, who said it? So they add the word Jesus. Well, fine, you're just clarifying it. That's a variant every single time it's done in every single lectionary. Is it changing the meaning? No, not at all.
Give you another one. That is, there are 16 different ways in Greek to say Jesus loves Paul.
Right.
In other words, just by where you put the words, it really doesn't matter. The sense comes out the same.
Right.
But that's just the way Greek goes.
Yeah, it's different than English, where
but every time the word is in a different spot, they call that a variant.
It's a variant, right. When you get down to it, there's only about 1% of the variants that are both viable and meaningful. What that means is, meaningful means that there's some degree to which it may change the meaning, and viable means that there's some chance that it goes back to the original text, just 1%. And that kind of freaked me out, because I'm thinking, okay, what are these?
Yeah, let me give you an example. Okay, Romans 5:1. It's, we have peace, or let us have peace. What's the big difference?
Yeah, that's exactly. I was talking to Daniel B. Wallace. I said, okay, I'm ready. Give me the biggest controversies. What are this 1%? And he said, well, there's Romans 5:1. We have peace, or let us have peace. There's only 1 letter difference in the Greek. Well, I don't think that
changes the meaning.
Changes a meaning a hill of beans. Or another one, 1 John 1:4 says either, thus we are writing these things so that our joy may be complete, or thus we are writing these things so that your joy may be complete. Well, you know what? I don't really care. In terms of the ultimate issue, it's irrelevant in terms of any doctrine whatsoever. It's an interesting exercise for the textual critics to wrestle over this stuff. But here's the bottom line, John. There is no cardinal doctrine of the church that is all in jeopardy by any textual variant in the New Testament, period.
Right.
They've been saying it since 1707, and it's still true today.